Dear Lindsay, Dear Lindsay, I'm outside, and I think that you might be proud of me because I did what I set out to do. I woke up and I ate breakfast and I did my push-ups. I showered and put on these clothes, and I thought about writing you a letter, an explanation. And after some time, after walking the perimeter of my house and watching some television and taking out the trash, I did it. I wrote it. And now I'm taping the note I wrote to this book I've been reading, and then I'll be getting out of my truck, and then I'll be opening the tiny door to the wooden book library that sits on your block, and then I'll be leaving it there for you to find. This is what the note says. When you read this book, you'll begin to see why I am the way I am, and why I do some of the things I do. Why I don't like crowds, being stuck in traffic, or to stand in line, feeling boxed in. Travel, being away from the fort, outside the wire. Keep loaded guns in the house. Stay on high alert, ready for an attack. I'm suspicious of strangers. People knocking on my front door. Sometimes I take my pistol with me to the front door. Need to sit facing the entry door in a restaurant with my back to the wall and near an emergency exit, if possible. Get angry when disrespected. Someone cutting me off on the road. Often feel as if I were outside looking in, just going through the motions. Why I have insomnia, can't turn off my head, relax, or have fun. And I don't expect you to understand it because you can't, but this book will help you to see that I can't help it. It's the way I am. Once a warrior, always a warrior. You can't just turn it off on demand. March 14th, 2017. Now that I've done what I set out to do, I'm driving back to town. I need a few things. I wonder if you remember Brian. He's been calling me lately. He said that he's got a good gig at the stadium. You know, doing security work. He says they pay well there, that they treat people well. He says that they need big guys to help keep people from hurting each other there. I wonder what you would say about all of that. I would have to wear black, and I'd have to do some trainings. Brian says that one time he had to take a guy down and they had to put the guy in handcuffs and then the police took him away. You always seem to like Brian. So maybe this is what I should be doing with my time. I don't know. I never drive near the river anymore. Driving here is not the same as when we were younger. I wonder if you remember running here. I do. I used to hate the first mile or so, but then after I gave up thinking about everything else, I'd start to feel better. Maybe it was all that oxygen in my head. Or maybe it was getting to watch the water roll with us as we ran with it. I don't know, but I liked it. And I remember that the coaches never yelled at us, and we got to laugh, and I remember that you'd always want to stop to watch the birds that landed near the edges. And they never questioned us about where we'd been or what took us so long, or have some opinion about what we were doing out there. I wonder if you ever visit the river anymore. Every once in a while I get a pair of jeans or a shirt at that thrift shop right off Main Street. The lady who runs the place likes to tease me about how limited my purchases have become. She says that I was a better dresser when I had help, when I'd bring you along. I wonder if you remember her. She's Jeremy's mother. She doesn't ever ask me directly if I've seen him, but I can tell she wants to ask me. We both signed up at the same time, enlisted. He was good at swimming, and I was big. So we went our separate ways, but I've heard things about him, about where he ended up. I wonder if you've heard things. The last time I talked to Brian, he said that he thought he'd heard that Jer ended up on the street, that he lives in one of those tent cities in San Francisco or Oakland, or maybe it was Seattle. I'm sure you remember that he loved the water and he could swim like nothing I've ever seen. I think I know what you would say about sleeping in one of those big cities, about sleeping out in those streets. and I agreed. I know I wouldn't last long if I left here, but I could see Jeremy doing okay out there. The last couple of weeks, I've been driving by the pound. Most days I sit in the parking lot and eat my lunch. I wonder if you'd think that is silly, but it helps. I listen to the dogs barking as they get their walks, and I wonder if you remember my dog. He passed away when I was gone. But I have this one memory. You'd probably be annoyed that I'm still telling the story, but when he was just a pup, I would take him out in the snow. And one day it was snowing like you wouldn't believe. The snow was so high that it was up to his chest. I watched him take these big, exaggerated steps in it all the way to the top of this hill. I remember letting him off the leash and watching as he started jumping around and rolling in it until he slipped and went down the hill. What a feeling. I remember thinking that I'd lost him. I remember running and falling down the hill. I remember the feeling of him licking my face as we sat in the snow. I'm home now, Lindsay, and I should probably let you go. But I want to be honest, so I might as well tell you everything. As you may know, a few weeks ago, I was asked to leave the program that was supposed to help people like me. I was 86th. Asked not to return because of my behavior. I know some things. I know that I scare people, that I can't stop arguing with myself, that I don't like being told what to do. And yet now, I feel like I know less than I thought I knew. And really, I don't know what to do with all of this. And that feels like the worst part of all. So, I've decided to go back there, to the place where at some point I'd found myself, or at least I'd found some small piece of myself. Decided to go back there and see if they would listen to what I did to you, to them, to this life we just can't help. I've decided to go back there, to the clinic, and see what they say. I don't think that I can say that I'm sorry. I was never good at that. And I know that I can't just turn it off, but maybe someone will at least listen to what I've got to say.